Spurgeon here with RevZilla, and today we're going to take a look at the Oxford Saddlebags available at RevZilla.com. So when you're taking a look at what you see on the table right now, these are the dual setup of saddlebags from Oxford. You can either choose between the P50R or you can choose between the P60R. Now that P in the beginning stands for panniard. Whenever you're looking at Oxford luggage, that letter that starts off the designation stands for what you're looking at. So P stands for panniard, T stands for tailbag, M would be magnetic. So again, that's a little bit of an insight into how Oxford is naming these. The number that follows is the liters in capacity. So the P50R is going to be a 50-liter capacity, complete storage on both sides. So each bag is going to be 25 liters when expanded. And then on my left side, these are the P60s. These are going to be 30 liters each when expanded for a total capacity of 60 liters. The only other difference that you have when you're choosing which pannier setup you want to go with is if you want color. So the smaller bag setup is available in red, blue, as well as the all-black version that you're going to see on the table. But other than that, both of these are going to be exactly the same, including how they mount to your bike. So for our BSD, our beard scale difficulty 4 installation, these are going to be a 1 out of 3 on our BSD. Very simple to install, shouldn't take you more than 10 or 15 minutes. This is something that anyone out there can do. Now it is important to note that these are universal saddlebags. These are not bike specific. So just keep that in mind. Depending on the kind of bike you have, you really want to make sure you find the right bags to fit the look and the feel of your motorcycle. And we'll talk more as we work through this, because these are going to be a simple throw-over bag. Really what I'm going to talk about first is going to be the construction for these. So they're going to be constructed from the same material that we're seeing across the board from Oxford. That's going to be a 420 ripstop nylon. And you can actually see it really well if you just look at the top of these bags. You have this kind of a crosswork that works through here, and that is the ripstop itself. So what's beautiful about this is that if it does start to tear or start to rip, that rip or tear doesn't continue. Whenever you're looking at luggage, saddlebags, tank bags, tailbags, whatever it is that you're looking at, they get abused. They get abused on the bike, they get abused off the bike. So the fact that you're using that 420 ripstop just means that these are going to be a little bit of a beefier construction that will hold up to the rigors of the road. So the first thing you'll note, these are going to be top-loading bags. So I actually prefer this to a side-loading bag. You have really easy access from the top, and then you do have these expandable gussets that run down the side. Now, when you're taking a look at this, there is going to be a rigid panel in here. The biggest problem that I had when I was trying to get these bags put together is that the rigid panel is a pain in the ass to get in the bags. Once you get it in there, you're going to have to wrestle with it. It's going to take you 10 or 15 minutes. Once you get those in there, it's really cool because the bags themselves hold their shape quite nicely when they're installed in the motorcycle. But just note, don't give up. It's going to seem like it's too big to fit. It will fit. You just kind of have to shove it in, push it down, zip little sections at a time. The other thing you'll see as a change over some of the previous bags that we've seen from Oxford is that the expansion gusset on the side now is only going to expand along the top 3/4 of the bag. So you're not going to see that expansion gusset carry all the way to the bottom. This is a huge improvement. The problem was when they used to run the expansion gusset all the way around, and we've seen this still in some other bags out there, is that it then tends to kind of like flop down. It doesn't hold its shape. So by using that kind of, the base as a secure point, and this kind of pushes out, the bag itself holds its shape a lot better, even in the fully expanded version, from what we're seeing, over previous versions of Oxford bags, as well as from some of the other competitors out there on the market. Now, it's still going to be a simple throw-over bag, but you do get that little extra bit of semi-rigidness baked in with the support, as well as the fact that they're utilizing that expansion gusset. Now, the one thing I will note, there's only one zipper for the entry point. I would have liked a dual zipper design just to make it a little bit easier to open and close the bags themselves, but minor nitpick. Now, you'll also notice on the top of this, you're going to have a shock cord. This is perfect for those of you out there that are spending multiple days on the road. Now, you could argue you could use this to simply hold down a pair of gloves or maybe a small garment when you take it off when you're kind of riding around. What I like to use this for is if you have dirty laundry. Maybe you get caught in a rainstorm and some of your laundry is wet. You can use the shock cord design on the outside to kind of just tighten down some clothing, and it helps to clear it out, and it's not contaminating the rest of the luggage that's in your bag that might be clean. Now, as we take a step over to the larger bags, there's really no difference here. You're just getting the extra liters in capacity. So you're jumping up from a complete 50 liters of storage. Now you're getting a slightly bigger bag, which is going to bump you up to 60 liters. Now, this goes back to what we were talking about earlier. These are universal bags. So you really have to know your motorcycle. If you're using a much smaller bike, these might not be appropriately sized for that particular setup. So just keep that in mind. But because these are universal, they're going to pretty much work with any motorcycle out there. And you'll notice the mounting straps for this. So this is going to take us into our BSD, our beard scale difficulty 4 installation. And remember what I said earlier, this is a 1 out of 3. This is something that anybody else out there can do. Now you'll notice there's 3 main straps that run across the inside of this. What you might not be able to see from the angle of the camera is that the two main straps are actually a little bit taller than the middle strap. That middle strap is actually designed to go underneath the seat. So if you have a seat that's easily removable, you can actually run this underneath for added security, and then you're going to have these two straps that run across the top of the seat. So that extra third strap is something that we're not seeing from a lot of other manufacturers, but again, if you want to use it, you can run it underneath the seat, and it just makes the bags a little bit more secure on the bike. Now, if you don't want to utilize that, if your seat isn't easy to take on and off, you don't have to use that. You can then just use the throwover straps, and then you're going to have anchor down straps that are running from the front of the bag as well as the back of the bag. So once you have this thrown over top, you're simply going to use the tie downs, run it around a piece of your frame rail, and it's going to work very similar to what we've seen from any other simple throwover luggage out there. The main other thing you'll note on the inside of these, if I just kind of take this and flip it over for a second, you are going to have padding on the inside, which helps to keep any painted parts in the back of your motorcycle from getting scratched up, and they're going to be heat reinforced, so you're not going to have to worry about, whether or not this is going to melt through. Now, with that being said, I wouldn't necessarily sit these right against an exhaust pipe, so this is something to consider, especially if you're running a high mount exhaust. I would probably shy away from these bags. The other thing to note was we're talking about installation, is that these are going to be a little bit more permanently mounted than some of the other pieces that we've talked about. Like if you're using a magnetic tank bag or a quick release tank bag, it's a little more on and off. With the way that these mount on here, it's going to take you a few minutes every time you want to put them on and off, especially if you're running that piece underneath your seat. So just keep that in mind. Now, if you are taking them on and off regularly, one of the added benefits here is that you are going to have grab handles, which will help you carry the bags in and out of the hotel or the campsite. And in addition to that, both of these bags will come with shoulder straps. Now those shoulder straps will mount. You'll notice that there's a D-ring up front. There's also going to be a D-ring in the back. The shoulder mounts simply mount to that, and it allows you to carry the bags over your shoulders, hands-free, so it leaves your hands free to carry gear or helmets or whatever it is that you have with you that you might need to carry to where you're going. Now, keep in mind, like I said in the beginning of this, there's a wide variety of different luggage within Oxford's line. And depending on what you're trying to carry on the bike and depending on how far you're going is really going to vary as to what kind of luggage you need for the task. So if you want to check out what other riders are utilizing from Oxford, you can always click the info button on your desktop or mobile device, which will allow you to read other rider reviews of how other folks are out there utilizing Oxford products. If you're still not sure as to whether or not these are going to work for your bike, you can always give one of our Gear Geeks a shout at 877-792-9455 or simply shoot over an email to cs@revzilla.com. Thank you for joining us for this look at the Oxford Saddlebags. I'm Spurge. Enjoy the ride.